with her for the rest of her life. And so she has been, she did I believe it was 30, maybe a little bit more than 30-day intensive inpatient treatment here at San Antonio Recovery Center, I believe it was on Huebner Road. She completed that, I believe, May 16th. And then she has been in their intensive outpatient treatment, and I believe now is about to transition into another outpatient. She's also, in addition to that, having individual counseling, psychologist, and continuing and doing so with her boyfriend as well. And she's attending AA, he's attending Al-Anon. I think this has been, given the circumstances of this case and her history, I think she's realizing this is kind of into the line, and that if for any other reason, just for medical purposes, her liver can't take this. She's in her early 50s, and it's time to kind of, move on. And I think she's got it, and she knows that she's gonna have to work out of this every day.
All right. So which treatment program are you in? You're in?
Currently, right now, I'm in it's PHP, it's partial hospitalization program.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
PHP program, it's partial hospitalization program. It's Monday through Friday.
And who is that with?
It's the San Antonio Recovery Center.
And what other treatment are you receiving?
I'm also going to, I also take naltrexone for the cravings.
I'm sorry, what?
I also take naltrexone for the cravings.
Okay, and which doctor is prescribing that?
That was the doctor that I was in, inpatient. I believe it's Dr. Diaz was the one who prescribed that.
Oh, just one second. Anybody need a cough drop? Okay. Just one moment. I'm just waiting for her to come back. Right, let me ask you some more questions. So I'm assuming you're not driving, correct?
No.
And is there any vehicle that is at the location?
Yes, there's one.
All right, and that vehicle has ignition interlock on it, correct?
It doesn't, I signed a affidavit.
We provided an affidavit non-driving, and she has a shattered ankle. That's why she's on this hand.
So, State, I do remember last time we were here, she did do the affidavit of non-driving. So I know you all are asking for ignition interlock. Do you want something other than that? Or do you want ignition interlock on the vehicle that is at the location?
Historically, Judge, that's what we requested, any vehicle at the house. And so, Judge, we think she's going to be in position to be driving maybe September, October. What our request would be is to maintain the affidavit non-driving. It's not her vehicle, it's her boyfriend's. He's a medical doctor. I think he's pretty responsible, doesn't have a criminal history. He's been very proactive in her recovery as well.
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to order an ignition interlock on that vehicle. If he doesn't want an ignition lock on that vehicle, he needs to come to court. Of course, I have no jurisdiction on him, and, tell the court publicly that he's not going to allow her to drive. And what I can tell you right now, with your attorney saying, well, she expects to be driving sometime in September, I don't even know if this is a person who should be driving. The court is not ready to take a risk yet on her driving, because we're here for a major DWI, and this is not her first one. That's why we're in felony court. Okay, so
And we actually, that's kind of where we're at too, Judge, honestly. It's just medically, she can't even, physically can't drive yet.
All right. And so what type of testing is she on? Is she on Scram? Is she on anything?
The hand, it starts, Smart Start.
Okay. And are you working at all?
No, still on a leave of absence from work.
Okay. So what do you do?
I'm an LVN
And what does that entail?
nurse.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a nurse, but specifically, what are you doing?
I work for a nursing home, so I basically just take care of the floor, pass out medications. Do what's needed. wound
Right.
care,
So
diagnose.
everyone knows the court's rules about people working as home healthcare providers, working with minors. So the person that you're working for, do they know about this case? All right. So here's the thing. I'm not going to allow her to continue to work there doing that occupation unless they know about it and they give the court a letter saying they're fine with her continuing to work there. Because I believe that part of my job is to protect the community. And sometimes, of course, depending on what we've done in our lives, if people knew, they would say, well, I don't want that person babysitting my children. You see what I'm saying? And so I think that if you were a patient or if you had a loved one who was a patient, you would really want to know, okay, who is this person working with them? You understand? So I'm not going to allow her to work there unless there's a letter of counsel provided to the court that they're aware of her charge and have no objection to her continuing the work there. State, is that okay with you?
Yes.
How do you spend your days?
Monday through Friday, I'm usually in classes till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then after that, I go to meetings with some of the ladies that are in the group. Other than that, on Mondays and Wednesdays, I have PT therapy. So I'm pretty much working.
All right. And what program are the classes under? Is that still under the PHP program? Okay. All right. Now let's talk about the 10 days in the Bexar County Jail. Counsel?
Judge, I would ask the court that you place her on electronic monitoring for the normal 30 to 60 day period in lieu of the 10 days of actual jail. I think it's important for her to continue her treatment and also just for medical reasons.
All right. So here's the thing. One, you need to continue your treatment. Normally, I tell people who are employed, you can either do 30 days full house arrest, you don't go anywhere, or either 60 days. But with you, it's going to be 60 days because you need to continue your treatment. So with the 60 days on GPS, what that means is you are only allowed to do your treatment. That's it. You understand? And go to your physical therapy. That's it. So I'm just going to allow you for treatment and medical appointments. That is all. So you're not allowed to go anywhere else. Do you understand? And that will be for 60 days. All right. This is what the court is going to do.
But there's one last, we would ask if the court would consider something less than a 10-year supervision or probationary term.
All right, state.
Judge, we'll defer to the board on this. We recommended 10 years, probably for 10 years.
All right. Why should I do something less than that?
Because Judge, I believe that, again, we don't have the letters here today because we've asked for them. We don't have them yet. We know how doctors and.
Oh, no, you can tell me what they would say.
Well,
And you're
they
an
would-
officer of court. I accept your word.
Well, what they would tell you is that she's shown sincerity and actually and been very engaged in her recovery, and they're hopeful that she will come out of this with enough tools to maintain sobriety, and that she's taken it very seriously. So with that understanding, since the court cannot terminate early on a DWI probation, we would ask the court for something in the 7 to 8 year range, which I think is still a significant amount of time for her to be under supervision.
All right. Well, I cannot terminate early. However, when I see people who are improving or have done well or are rehabilitated, there are always other options I can give as, for example, reporting by mail. For example, she's only going to be on the ignition interlock according to your plea bargain agreement for half the term. Just based upon the history that I'm looking at, I don't think it's a good idea for the court to sentence her to anything less than the 10-year supervision. If you are doing well, if you're showing the court that you're rehabilitated, which you have done some work up front, which I appreciate, then the court will consider. But this was a serious case and it's a serious accident. It could have easily been an intoxication manslaughter or something else. You understand? All right. Is there anything else, counsel?
Yeah, Judge. Yes, Judge. Regarding the ignition interlock on the other vehicle at the house, so the boyfriend he did make the flight last night. He's out, I don't know, when is he coming back? On Saturday. Would we be able to come back into court next week to address the matter?
Sure. Well, what I can tell you is I'm going to put it in my order. And then we can come back, just ask the coordinator to put it on the docket.
I just don't know when, is the order going to say within 2 weeks?
No, the order is not saying within 2 weeks. The order is just saying, this is my order. He has to have the ignition interlock. If I don't receive testimony from him or a notarized letter, are you in agreement with the notarized letter from him? Or do you want testimony?
Judge, I mean, if there's notarized letter and defense counsel obtained it from him, we'll take the word of the.
All right. So if you obtain a notarized letter from him, with the notary there, stating that he understands what she's charged with, that he will not allow her to drive his vehicle, and we will include it in the file and tell him it will be legal notice for us, and he'll be on notice that he's not allowed to allow her to drive. And therefore, if something happens and he will allow her to drive, he'll probably be liable for different things.
I can make that happen as early next week, but he's.
Okay. No, I understand. I'm going to give you a deadline for when he needs to have the ignition interlock on.
That was my ask.
All right, sure. All right, so the court is going to sentence you to a $2,000 fine. That will be probated. And I'm assuming we don't have a restitution amount yet from Meredith Bitter.
We're not expecting one. She bumped a car, basically.
All right, there will be 10 years probation, suspended and probated for 10 years. Restitution, if any, to Meredith Bitter, I'm sorry. And if restitution comes back and counsel you thinks it's more than it should be, we can have a restitution hearing. There's to be ignition interlock for half the term on all vehicles at location. And I will put a note that that ignition interlock must be installed no later than, let me see. July 8th. By 4:30 p.m. There is to be continued treatment with the PHP program. You are to sign a release, a medical release for probation, so that they can see how you're doing in the program. Do you understand? And that probation, she is also receiving medication of naltrexone, NALTREXONE with Dr. Diaz. There's going to be Smart Start for half the term of probation. Yes.
Is that the portable device or the ignition interlock?
Well, the ignition interlock is going to be on any vehicle at the home, but they're going to have 14 days to obtain the ignition interlock. I'm giving them a little bit more than 14 days. It's no later than July 8th. That will only be suspended if the person who has the vehicle gives the defense attorney a notarized affidavit stating that he's aware of the defendant's charges and will not allow her to drive.
Yes, sir.
All right. And
I'm sorry, you said Smart Start, so
she's currently on Smart Start
which device?
In-home.
in home.
The portable. device.
Yes. Thank you. So Smart Start for half the term. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person, regular random UAs. And probation, will you let them know that she has a fractured ankle or something? So the regular random UAs, it'll probably take her some time to get to the locations. There's to be Victim Impact Live, DWI education, license suspension for 2 years. $200 hours of community service restitution. You can, I'll allow her to pay that off if she wants to pay that off at $7.25 per hour. Or, well, I'll allow her to pay half of it off. All right. And then the other half, you need to work somewhere where you get a chance to see the impact that driving while intoxicated has had on people. I know they do the Victim Impact Panel Live and you can see and people can say, you know, my relative passed, but I think you need a little bit more than that so this can really stick. You understand? So probation, if you can find some community service hours that are somehow related to that.
Yes.
All right, there's going to be 10 days in the Bexar County Jail as a condition. I'm going to suspend that. And the reason why I'm suspending that is because one, there are medical issues at the jail. You have to do physical therapy. And also there are issues at the jail because of the Tyler Odyssey system. I don't want you to go over there and then you're there for 3 months. I don't think that will happen, but all right. So I'm going to suspend that. And in lieu of that, I'm going to order 60 days GPS partial. And that is to be for medical treatment and therapy related to her sobriety. There's to be proof of employment within 30 days. No employment as a home healthcare provider or with minors. A defendant is allowed to continue work as LVN if probation, you receive a letter from her employer stating that they are aware of her charges and have no objection to her working there.
But in regard to proof of employment, she's not able medically to work right now.
Oh, yes, I know that.
So.
But she's currently employed, correct? She told me she's on a leave of absence.
Correct. It's just, I think, but she's not going to be going back to work until perhaps September at the very earliest.
Oh, no, they understand that she's on a leave of absence. It's just that if she's going to be working for them, she needs to provide that letter.
Even though she's not actually present. I mean, if she loses her job is, I guess, what I'm talking about.
Oh, if she loses her job, she loses her job. But if she is going somewhere and she wishes to continue to have an occupation as an LVN, wherever she goes, if you're on your leave of absence and then they say, this is taking too long, we're going to fire you, If you go somewhere else to be an LVN, you've got to let them know that you're on probation and you're on probation for this offense. Do you understand? That is the only way the court is going to allow you to work as an LVN. And I'm saying this on the record and letting probation know so that if you are employed, you're not allowed to work as an LVN or with minors unless you have a letter from your employer stating they know this is what you're charged with. You understand? All right. And I put in here proof within 30 days. Probation here is reasonable. I'm reasonable. I know that you can't work right now, that you're going to physical therapy. They know that you're going to physical therapy. Let me just tell you, when they file a motion to revoke, it comes through me. I look at it, either I'm going to sign it or not. Usually what ends up happening, I'd say about 80% of the time, I say I want a compliance hearing so people can come in and tell me what's going on. I don't immediately sign motions to revoke just like, oh, it's automatic. Let me sign a motion to revoke. Do you understand? Your main focus should really be on your sobriety. Okay. Probation. Is there anything else she needs? Yes. We'll do field visits 1 time per month for 3 months. And then as deemed necessary by probation. Anything else, probation? All right. Is there anything else you need from the court? All right. Do you have any confusion or misunderstanding about what the court has ordered? All right. Did you review the document titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it? All right. Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand? All right, we can go off the record. You're looking fabulous in your sobriety. Your eyes are bright. So keep up the good work. If something comes up and you feel as though you're going to use or you're about to, do something, call probation. In this court, communication is key to be successful on probation. Call your probation officer. If you feel like they're not addressing it, you can always come back to court. We're here, not on weekends or holidays, okay? And your attorney knows how to reach us. All right, good luck. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
You're welcome. Thank you. Who's here on Krinke Van Fumi? Sir, you were supposed to appear in misdemeanor court first. Did you do that? Misdemeanor court?
Lawyer's office.
Oh, no. You need to go to misdemeanor court first. And then we'll wait for you. That's what I have in my notes. You're welcome. Everyone, we're starting trial up at 10. So Martin Torres.
I just went upstairs. Zach is gonna be tied up until 11 or so.
Okay. All right. Yes, your client was supposed to provide proof that he's ill.
He was in at clinic yesterday.
So what are the results?
He does not have COVID. He does have not respiratory infections. Pretty much,
Okay. All right. Oh, you can step back. He has a cold. I think colds are contagious. And if there's a cold out there, it's going to try to find me. All right. So do you have the CPS records?
Zach did not mention him yesterday. He did find a lot of the records from San Antonio police that were missing.
Mhm.
He did tell me there was one call that had been purged. I don't know
Okay.
which one it was.
Okay.
They did upload them. I believe they uploaded what they had last night. I just have not had a chance to go through it yet.
All right. All right. You all are going to have to confer off docket. I'm gonna put your plea deadline date as July 29th.
I am gone until August 9th,
All right, so when do you leave?
Sunday.
Oh, you leave it on Sunday? Where are you headed?
Maine.
Oh, is there that much to see in Maine? I like Maine.
But my mother's there, she'll be 94 in August.
You gotta see mom.
My kids and my grandson are there, plus I have a couple people very close to me having surgery during July, so I'm gonna be up there helping out.
Oh, you gotta enjoy. Enjoy mom, right?
Yes,
All right, so you guys will need to confer our docket. And what I'll do, you say you come back on August 1st?
August 9th.
August 9th.
Is when I return, so August 12th will be my first day in court.
Oh, well, you gotta recover. You can't come back August 9th and immediately jump in. I'm gonna put you as your plea deadline date for August 15th. Okay? And tell your mom I said hi. Happy birth month.
That's my mother, is the 17th, my daughter's the 8th.
Oh, wow. And you know, moms, whenever you come, they always want to cook, but don't make your mom cook.
No, I do the cooking one on my,
Oh, what are you gonna cook? Sure.
all depends what she wants. I'm there for a while, so. Cook
Okay.
whatever she wants.
Oh, that is awesome. All right, have a safe trip.
Thank you.
And once your client signs this, he will be excused.
Thank you.
Yes. Just one moment. So, Cindy, yeah, don't leave. I mean, no, don't leave when you go see them. You need to just stay there and tell them, I'm not leaving. You haven't solved my problem. Because that's how when you go see a doctor, you know what's wrong with your body and you know something is off. And they say, we can't find anything, just go to the next person. I always have to advocate for my mom because when you're there by yourself, you feel like you're bothering people. Don't feel like you're bothering people.
I trust
Yes.
you.
Okay, awesome. Hey, let us know. All right, yes.
Under my client and I were ordered to be in court this morning, but there's no setting on this case. The issue right now is there's a warrant for that pending motion to revoke. There is no setting on it.
Yeah, are you guys ready to proceed on this?
Uh,
All they have to do is go grab the file from the back and the state has to call for their file to come down.
Yes, ma'am. If that's what the court wants, that's fine with us, but we were seeking tracking, monitoring, GPS. The state is opposed to that.
Mhm.
She's gonna fight the allegation of condition number 1. There's a pending indictment for that. No setting on that one either. So if you want the hearing, that's fine, but we would suggest that you put it off a little bit, but give us full GPS tracking since she's on bond already for the pending indictment.
Is she in custody?
No, she's right back there.
All right, so does she have a warrant?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, miss, you'll need to take a seat in the box. What I'll do is I'll have them bring her over tomorrow. See if they can add her to the docket tomorrow or either Friday, and I'll hear your motion for a bond on that case. All right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so let me see if the deputies have room to call them. I don't know how many inmates are coming over. And
May I inquire, are you set tomorrow or Friday?
what is better for you, counsel?
Tomorrow.
Okay. All right, I'll have them put her on the docket tomorrow, but again, we're in jury trial, so everyone need to make sure they're here exactly at 9.
You're on.
Yes.
State also prepare for contested MTR.
Do you want the contested MTR
I'm
tomorrow?
not gonna plead true.
All right, no, we'll just prepare for the bond and then I'll give you all another date for the contested.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right, so we'll have her brought over tomorrow, the 13th.
Yes, ma'am. Be excused.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean, excuse me.
yes. Uh, Bobby Joe Rivera. Bobby Joe Rivera.
Your Honor, Mr. Rivera. Parents.
All right, that's going to be recalled for a different date. I'll find out what date we're going to recall it for.
Yes, sir.
All right. Then we have Alex Miosek. Alex Miosek. Who's Alex Miosek's attorney? Does anyone know? Deputy Laura, are you able to recall Monica Wade for tomorrow? Do we have room on the docket for her?
Bring her back for.
Uh,
Just
Pardon?
for her.
Yes, Monica Wade. She has a warrant.
We're gonna take her into custody.
Yes. And we'll have a bond hearing on tomorrow. Miss Wade, we'll do your bond hearing tomorrow. Huh? Okay, all right. And could someone make an announcement in the hallway for Alex Miosek?
I'll tell Jared's interjection.
Oh.
Her body is not here.
All right, can you call downstairs to Julieta and tell him that Bermudez, they need to call him and tell him to be here? Do you need the list?
It's just that I don't have the.
Okay.
Postway 3.
No, Judge.
All right, thank you.
0042.
Could I have a prosecutor, please? Hi. Okay. Court is, oh, I'm sorry. They're not ready yet. This is gonna be bond forfeiture perhaps. Okay.
I keep.
Yes, for when she was.
One for this year. Yeah. For this, you got 30 of them. 30. Yeah, what?
6 days. Thank you.
It's a plea.
You're on a man approach.
Just one moment.
We do a waiver of appeal rights.
Yeah.
What else do you need? Okay. They're in the-
Yes.
It's not applying to TC.
She's for an ATM here coming up, I think on the 28th.
Mhm.
She's currently out. Just want to see, setback. Out or.
All right, so we'll need to set it for a hearing. Let me ask you, is she in custody or not? All right, so if you'll talk to the deputies, we could probably set it for Friday.
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, just let them know and we'll put it on the docket for Friday. Oh, no, it would just be for a bond hearing.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
All right, you're welcome. Oh, no problem. Don't rush. I'm sorry, what?
Oh.
No, I only have Alex,
2023.
Frankie, and Bobby Rivera.
Yes, but.
I just want to give you a case, just so you can.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, could I have a prosecutor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Court is calling 2024 CR 3533, State of Texas versus Alex Miosek for the state.
Jason Garahan, Your Honor.
All right, this case was originally scheduled yesterday, June 11th. The defendant did not make an appearance. Defense counsel informed the state and informed the court that the defendant had engine problem with his vehicle. The court gave him till today to appear. The defendant still has not appeared, and it is 9:58 a.m. Deputy, did you make an announcement for Alex Miosek? And what was the response? State.
State's requesting a bond forfeiture, Your Honor.
All right, that will be granted. The defendant will be remanded without bond. If he makes an appearance, the court will reconsider. Thank you.
Thanks, Judge. Hey, Judge, are we gonna take this, we're making another plea, then I mean,
All right, we'll do that.
we have, I mean, if we have Jen,
Sure.
He's incarcerated. right?
Yes. Okay, and then I just received this. Sometimes people think I have so much information and I do not. Can you mute us, please? Maybe someone in the court can help. Thank you.
I'm not gonna change it, like, search. I don't believe.
All right.
Extend under the clock. I think we're hoping to do a plea of Mr. Belmontes.
Oh, you all can, well, here's the thing. I told everybody to be here at 9,
Okay, and the plea paperwork's all done.
and I don't know why people were not here at 9 when I said we were starting jury trial at 10. Now everybody is acting as though this is very important to them, but everybody should have been here at 9 because we're starting a trial at 10.
Understood. Is there a possibility we can do the plea or be?
Oh, it'll be done today. It may not be done it may not be done now, but it'll be done today. All right.
I think all the paperwork is there,
Mhm.
as I understand.
All right, Michael DeLeon and the state, if I can see you all in the back, please.
One is showing, one's not showing, so I don't know what. We don't have access to turn it off. Definitely to give us clearance.
Who's here on Frank Belmaris?
We're here present, Your Honor.
Could I have a stamp? Court is calling 2024, and then I'll meet the court reporter who's here too. Court is calling 2024 CR 5542, State of Texas versus Frank Belmaris. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state? Defense.
Roger Pettis, as well as,
Neil Calvin, Your Honor, as well.
And are you Mr. Belmaris?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you, counsel, have you reviewed all the discovery with your client?
yes, Your Honor.
And did you receive all discovery?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Are there any applications?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Did you review the true bill of indictment with your attorneys? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, did, Yeah.
Regarding the indictment, it alleges the incorrect cause number for the predicate conviction.
yes.
The correct cause number should be 2015 CR 1564.
And we have no objections to this.
May I interlineate on the? indictment?
Yes. All right, Mr. Belmaris, you understand that there was an incorrect number for the cause number that is being used to charge with you with felon in possession of a firearm?
Sure.
All right, you understand that you would have time to discuss that with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Are you waiving that time to discuss this with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you asking to proceed with those changes?
Yes, ma'am.
And you have no objection?
No, ma'am.
And defense, you have no objections to those changes?
We do not, Your Honor.
And defense, even though the number in the indictment is incorrect, did you have a chance to review the actual document that is being used to make this charge a felon in possession of a firearm?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And state, did you tender that evidence to defense counsels?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment
We do,
as
Your Honor.
corrected?
We do.
Mr. Belmaris, did you review the document entitled Court Admonishments and Defendants Waivers and Affidavit of Admonitions with your attorneys? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you're charged with felon in possession of a firearm? Range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 10 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a plea with the state, court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call and the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by entering this plea, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
No. Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. And the other thing, with regards to the indictment state, are you waiving the habitual enhancement paragraph?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objections, Your Honor.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
He has, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
He does, Your Honor.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Belmaris, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter the plea?
No,
Anyone promised you anything other than the plea?
no, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Did you review the plea bargain page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
According to the plea, punishment is to be assessed at 5 years in the prison, and there are no applications. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
State? Did you review the waiver of appeal paragraph with your attorneys? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have there been any such motions?
There has not, Your Honor.
Then to the offenses charged, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Let's see.
State any evidence?
Taken as one of the attachments, Your Honor.
No objections, Your Honor.
Did you review the document entitled Waiver and Consent to Stipulation of Testimony and Stipulations with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call and the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports? But most importantly, there'll be no live testimony. Did you understand? Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments, and the court will review the same. All right, after reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and the court will find you guilty. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
Judge, just on behalf of Mr. Belmonte, we'd ask the court to follow the plea. Not that it excuses his conduct whatsoever, but he did have a very rough upbringing. His father was pretty much an absent father. His mother died in a tragic car accident when he was a very, very young child. And he was essentially raised by a teenage sister. I've known him now for about 8 or 9 years, and I've counseled him or talked to him and impressed upon him the importance of not finding himself back in these situations. And this time out, he'd been doing pretty well, and just got sidetracked. And so I hope and have faith that at some point he's going to recognize the error of his ways and not want to spend a substantial part of the rest of his life in prison. So we'd ask the court to go along with the agreement. There were some potential that I'm not at all challenging the case, and he's pled guilty and accepted responsibility for it. But the case was a potentially defensible case, and that's the reason I think that the state offered the agreement that they did, and we're just asking the court to go along with that agreement.
All right, and what's with the drugs that are in the police report? What's happening with that? It says S1 had a small baggie of white crystal-like substance, 1.9 grams on his person, in a pants pocket, along with a large amount of cash. I was advised that on the ground next to the red pickup truck where S1 had retrieved, then stowed the rifle, there was a large baggie of white powder substance, 5.9 grams. What's happening with that?
I believe that case was rejected when this case was indicted.
All right, can you make sure that's done? And so we won't have a case out there. All right, the court is going to find you guilty, sentence you to 5 years in prison, give you credit for any time served. There's to be no contact with Frank Garza. Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights and Appeal with the attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it? Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand? Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. Do you understand? All right, we can go off the record. How old are you?
34.
All right, at some point, your traumatic past, what has happened to you in the past, you cannot rely on that as for your, the reasons for your actions. At some point, the choices we make are our choices. Everybody has had something traumatic in their past, maybe not as bad as you. However, there have been some who may have had worse things happen in their past than you have. At some point, you got to start being responsible for your own actions. This is Texas. You're going to be labeled as a habitual offender, depending on if you were to not follow the straight and narrow and pick up a new case, your minimum would be 25 years at the prison. And you need to ask yourself, do you want to spend the rest of your life at the prison? You can. And while you sit at the prison, maybe you can write a book about the hard times you've had. You understand? Or either you're going to change. That's completely up to you. Good luck to you. You're welcome.
I agree with the court's assessment of those things.
All right, thank you. All righty.
Have the excuse room.
Yes. Deputy, both of them need to go back. You can hold her for this afternoon, but we have to get the jury in.
Okay.
All right. And who is going to be the court reporter? Hi, you? Oh, no, just for the next month.
Hi. How are you? I thought you were yes. Okay, listen, so you gotta come in and work with us for July. All right, but I don't know if you know, I don't know if you know, I will pre-have taken some tape work. Okay, yes, July. Okay, all right, and then we'll have somebody come in, but that way you can get a chance to see how things run. It's gonna be a little bit dicey with how things run, because you know, we have a holiday coming up, so you're gonna be gone. So I'll see if perhaps they can put you in for August as well. Yes, and then you can see how things run. Okay, all right, great meeting you. Yeah.
2407 1140.
Do you have what number it is?
We're gonna work on that.
Yeah.
Thank you for your patience.
Sure.
All right, state defense, is there anything we need to take up? I know there's one thing, and it's in regards to the release of one of the jurors. We need to put that on the record, but is there anything else? All right. The court is going to call 2022 CR 4932B, State of Texas versus Oscar Martinez. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state? Defense?
Michael Dodion for Mr. Martinez.
And are you Mr. Martinez? All right, so yesterday, there was a juror who had boards to take, and that was juror number 2. Both parties off the record agreed to release her and move to the next alternate. Any objections, state? Defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right. All right, then what we'll do is, as soon as the deputies remove those 2 persons, we'll bring the jury in. All right. So we're ready. We just, if you could hold her. Mhm. Yes.
All right, for the jury.
Oh, yes, please be seated. Oh, and just so y'all know, there's no assigned seating in the box, so you can sit wherever in the box. All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, ladies and gentlemen, downstairs you were given an oath, but I'm going to give you an oath that is specifically for this trial. So if everyone could raise your right hand for me, please. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm in the case of the state of Texas against Mr. Martinez, you will a true verdict render according to the law and the evidence, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, you can lower your hand. So if at any time there's something that you cannot hear, just let us know. If you ever need a break, if you'll just do this sign, either I'll see it or the councils or the deputy will see it and we'll make sure you get your break, okay? All right, state.
True bill of indictment. In the name and by authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury of Bexar County, state of Texas, duly organized, impaneled, and sworn as such at the May term AD 2022 of the 399th Judicial District Court of said county in said court at said term, do present in and to said court that in the county and state aforesaid and anterior to the presentment of this indictment, count one, on or about the 21st day of February 2022, Oscar Martinez III did then and there commit or attempt to commit the felony offense of robbery, and while in the course of or in furtherance of or in immediate flight from the commission or the attempted commission of this offense, Oscar Martinez III did then and there commit or attempt to commit an act clearly dangerous to human life, to wit, discharging a firearm at or in the direction of Jerry Ortiz, and thereby causing Jerry Ortiz to discharge a firearm, thereby causing the death of Enrique Bocanegra. Count two, on or about the 21st day of February 2022, Oscar Martinez III did then and there commit or attempt to commit the felony offense of robbery, and while in the course of or in furtherance of or in immediate flight from the commission or the attempted commission of this offense, Oscar Martinez III did then and there commit or attempt to commit an act clearly dangerous to human life, to wit, discharging a firearm at or in the direction of Jerry Ortiz, and thereby causing Jerry Ortiz to discharge a firearm, thereby causing the death of Christopher Mejia. Count three, on or about the 21st day of February 2022, Oscar Martinez III, hereinafter referred to as defendant, while in the course of committing theft of property and with intent to obtain and maintain control of said property, did intentionally and knowingly threaten and place Jerry Ortiz in fear of imminent bodily injury and death, and the defendant did use and exhibit a deadly weapon, to wit, a firearm, against the peace and dignity of the state.
To each of those counts, how do you plead? All right, state, do you have any opening statements?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Christopher Mejia and Enrique Bocanegra never met. But on February 21st of 2022, their fates became intertwined due to the actions of Oscar Martinez that led up to their deaths. Now, on February 21st, 2022, Jerry Ortiz was 17 years old. You're going to hear from Jerry. He was a drug dealer. He had sold pot a few times. And on the morning of February 21st, he was reached out to by someone on Instagram asking to buy from him. Now, Jerry set up a time, set up a place. It was a convenience store right next to his home. If you leave his house, you look to your left, you're there. Jerry went to that store. He brought a gun with him. It was a gun that he found in a park not that long beforehand. He's 17 years old. He thought it was something cool. He thought it was something he should bring. Jerry waited out in front of that convenience store for a few minutes. Then a green Suburban pulled up. And Jerry approached it thinking, these are the people I'm selling the drugs to. This is who's going to buy from me. And when he got to that Suburban, he went to the passenger side of the vehicle, front passenger seat. The window was rolled down. Jerry saw Oscar Martinez sitting in that front passenger seat. He saw that the car was full of other kids. Jerry didn't know how many. He thought it was 5 or 6. He thought that car was full of kids. But he also saw that Oscar had a gun. That a couple of those kids also had guns, and they were pointing them at Jerry. Jerry calls Oscar saying, give me everything you got. And Jerry complied. He gave the drugs. He started giving up his shoes. He was handing them into that front passenger seat, right through that window. As he was giving up his shoes, Christopher Mejia exited the back of that Suburban. Christopher Mejia had a gun in his hand, and he pointed it at Jerry's chest. And a struggle began for Jerry's gun. It was in his waistband. Now, all this up to this moment is captured on surveillance video. As they start struggling, they go off of the surveillance video. Another camera down the street captures a little bit of what happens after. Jerry and Chris struggle and eventually separate, and both point their guns at one another. Jerry shoots Christopher. Chris dies very shortly thereafter. Gunfight ensues. Jerry tries to hide behind a dumpster that's right next to that convenience store, and he shoots at the car full of the kids because they're shooting at him. You're going to hear all the gunshots on the surveillance video. You're going to hear the exchange. Jerry eventually runs away. After about 10 seconds of hiding, he runs away. He runs around the convenience store. He tries running down the back alley that leads up to his house, ditches the gun, and he runs and hides. Unbeknownst to everyone that was involved in the shootout, Enrique Bocanegra was in his house, minding his own business. He wasn't involved in any of this. He was shot by a stray bullet in the chest. Despite EMS efforts, he died. That bullet did come from Jerry Ortiz's gun. Jerry killed both Christopher and Enrique. But the issue that you're going to decide is the role that Oscar played. Giving everything he got, flashing a gun, participating in this robbery. You're going to hear that the shoes that Jerry gave over were found in that car. Jerry wasn't there to sell shoes. Oscar later gave a statement to detectives at SAP, a detective, Mark Morales. Detective Morales, his interviewing skills states, I'm not going to hide, are lacking. But he does talk to Oscar, and Oscar does say his version of events of what happened. He says, Jerry was robbing us. That's not going to be supported by the evidence. Oscar Martinez was 19. Jerry Ortiz was 17. Christopher Mejia was 14. Also inside that car, driving that car, was Joshua Mejia, Christopher's older brother, who was 17. Also inside that car was Jeremy Martinez. He's 13. He's Christopher's brother. He's not related to Oscar. Additionally, inside that car is Juan Mejia, who was 14 at the time. State is going to present evidence showing that Oscar did play a role in what led up to the deaths, that he was acting as a party of this robbery, and that Christopher's actions were together with Oscar's, that Oscar was criminally responsible. Thank you.
All right, defense?
Your proceed, Your Honor.
Yes.
Good morning. Now you get to hear facts about the case. All right. This entire case that you're going to hear about, it was tragic, it was preventable, and it was mind-numbingly stupid on the part of the parties involved. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about right from the start. The state has charged Oscar here with murder. All right. At no time, the evidence will show Oscar never pulled the trigger at anybody. Okay. All the evidence is going to tell you that Jerry Ortiz, the drug dealer, his bullets killed Christopher Mejia. The bullets from Jerry Ortiz's gun, once again, went across the street and killed Enrique Bocanegra, an innocent 65-year-old elderly man. All the deaths became from Jerry Ortiz's gun. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the facts. And these are things that you're going to see in vivid detail because it's going to play for you the surveillance video. That there's at least two videos that kind of show the scene. In the first one, there's audio. You're going to hear in kind of frightening sound all the bullets, the firefight that goes on. Okay. This happened over there on kind of near Blanco and Mariposa, near kind of the Edison High School area. Okay. It's middle of the day. It's February. It's hot. In February, it is incredibly hot that day. Okay. People are in shorts. So middle of the afternoon, apparently Jerry Ortiz, the drug dealer, got together with on Instagram with Joshua Mejia. Okay. Joshua is going to be the driver of the Suburban that they're in. All right. Joshua is the driver. Oscar Martinez is the front passenger. All right. You're going to see that in the video, front passenger window is open. It's rolled down. Okay. The back one is not. It's rolled up. In the back seat, there are 3 juveniles. Okay. Now, as the state told you, Joshua Mejia, Jeremy, Juan, and Christopher are all brothers. Okay. So the 4 of them are brothers, and Oscar is not related to them. Okay. So they're in the back seat as well. They were, well, let me go back to the Instagram situation. There was a deal to buy marijuana. Okay. So they planned what time to show up at the convenience store. So there's a convenience store here. Okay. The truck is waiting, we can see on surveillance video, at the gas pumps. All right. Eventually, I think you can kind of, common sense tells you they're going, look, there's the guy we're going to meet. So they go and drive and come around right here. Okay. When they do, that's when Jerry Ortiz, the drug dealer, walks up to the passenger window. You're going to see that on the video. All right. What you're going to see next on that video is at a certain point, remember, Jerry Ortiz, the drug dealer, has a .40 caliber handgun on him, okay, in his waistband or somewhere around here. He's wearing a jacket, it's kind of covered up, okay. At that point, you're going to hear from the evidence that at some point Jerry Ortiz showed to the people in the Suburban that, hey, I've got a gun, kind of moving his jacket open. That is presented to him. 15-year-old Christopher Mejia is in the back passenger seat. Okay. He gets out, and you'll see this on the video, with a gun. in his hand, gets out, and there's a struggle for the gun or something. There's a struggle going on. Then the camera's here, okay? The parties go off camera, but you can start hearing a gunfight happen. A lot of bullets are flying, okay? And eventually the Suburban moves up a little bit, okay? You'll see that. And then you'll see the result of Jerry Ortiz taking off, all right? The drug dealer takes off. What has happened at that point, you'll later find out, is that Jerry Ortiz has shot Christopher Mejia, the 15-year-old who got out of the back seat with the gun, shot him in the face, and he's dead right there, okay? At the same time, across the street is 65-year-old Enrique Bocanegra in his house. Those bullets that the drug dealer shot, Jerry Ortiz shot, went across the street into the home. It's directly across, and a bullet hit Enrique Bocanegra right in the chest. He died in his home. All right. At no time will you see Oscar get out of this car prematurely. All right. There are 3 guns inside of this car, Suburban. Those are recovered a little bit later in a blue recycle bin. You know, the stuff we put our recyclables in. They were put in there. The person who put those in there was not Oscar. All right. It's either going to be Juan or Jeremy. All right. He put them, and we know that because there's a video, a Ring camera at a home over here that's showing an angle from over here. All right. So at no time is Oscar firing a gun. At no time is his fingerprints on a gun. At no time is he directing anyone to hide the guns. We'll see how the evidence plays out. I imagine the state's going to call Jerry Martinez. Jerry Ortiz, the drug dealer. They're going to call him. He's made a statement. All right. We already have that written statement. We'll see what he has to say up there. You're going to find out that Jerry Ortiz, the drug dealer, was charged with capital murder. All right. He was in jail. And at a certain point, Jerry Ortiz was no longer in jail. All right. And you're going to find out once he testifies what happened to his capital murder case. Let's talk a little bit about Oscar. As the state told you, there's a Detective Morales with SAPD who was investigating the crime. As the prosecutor told you, his skills are kind of lacking, because when he talked to Oscar, he was trying to figure out who's in charge of this crime, who's doing this. And I'm going to say that the detective was kind of rushing for judgment. He was looking to say, you know, you got to tell me what's going on. We will tell you right from the start that Oscar lied to the police from the start. All right. Oscar said, you know, things that just fundamentally weren't true. He was scared at the time. He was like, hey, you know, and you'll see Oscar's statement to Detective Morales. You'll see that. And at first he was covering. He's scared to death. His friend Christopher is dead. There's another man, he just heard there's another man across the street who's dead. So he's scared. And the detective is kind of berating him, and you're going to see that. And maybe, you know, some of that is justified. Sure, there's a shooting, there's 2 people dead. You would want a police detective to try to figure out what's going on. But at the very end, Oscar is saying, well, what happened was there was a plan for that I heard at the last moment, right before we pulled up, for the driver, Joshua, and his brother, Christopher, the one who got out of the back seat and was killed, that they had planned to take Jerry Ortiz's marijuana. All right? Exceedingly stupid and preventable. However, this was not some part of some grand scheme that Oscar came up with. All right? So there's a lot of details we're going to go through, and we will go through each witness and go through those details. I mean, I could stand here for an hour talking to you about it. But at the end of the case, you're going to see that Oscar is guilty of being stupid. He's guilty of lying. He's guilty of bad judgment. All right. What he's not guilty of is murder. The evidence will not point to a murder. For the robbery, the aggravated robbery, you will see that evidence. It's your job to determine if the state has proven it beyond a reasonable doubt. All right? Remember, we talked about mere presence alone at the murder is not enough to be charged with murder. So you'll see from the evidence the extent of Oscar's bad judgment and how much that holds him criminally responsible. Thank you.
All right, state, call your first witness.
Your Honor, the state calls Officer Robert Richmond.
All right, if you can raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can have a seat and lower your hand. If you'll make sure that you keep your voice up so that members of the jury and the court reporter can hear.
Yes.
All right, if you'll state your name for the record.
Robert Richmond,
State.
Texas.
Oh, no, when I say state, I mean for the
Oh,
state to
sorry.
proceed.
Yes, ma'am.
No, it happens sometime.
Good morning, officer. Can you tell the jury, I think they can tell, but tell them what you do for a living.
I am a police officer with the San Antonio Police Department.
And how long have you been with SAPD?
As of now, about 10 and a half years.
And are you licensed by the state as a peace officer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what are your job duties?
I answer calls for service. So anything that comes, somebody calls 911 for a theft, disturbance, car crash, burglary, or some sort of violent crime. I respond to that call and handle it.
And were you working on February 21st, 2022?
I was, yes.
And were you still in patrol at that time?
Yes, I was a patrol officer.
Did you respond to a call on that day?
Yes,
And did you write a report as part of your duties?
yes.
Do you have that report in front of you?
I have it in my pocket.
Oh, okay. If you need to refer to it to refresh your memory, that's all right. And what kind of call was it that you responded to on that day?
It was a shooting in progress call.
And so when you get a call like that, how do you respond?
The lights and sirens on the patrol car. So to get there as quickly as possible.
Okay, so if there's a red light, if you can safely get through it, you're going through it, right?
Yeah, we have to stop, make sure there's no traffic coming, but we can run the red light after that.
Okay, and where did you get called out to?
It was a address on Blanco and Mariposa. It was actually, this came in, the address was at a place called Beer King, but the call when I got there was actually on the street next to it on Mariposa. On the 800 block of West Mariposa, I believe.
And is that in Bear County, Texas?
Yes,
And so were you dressed as you are today on that day?
yes, dressed in regular police uniform.
And I see you've got something on your chest there. What is that?
The body cam.
Okay. And you were wearing that on February 21st, 2022?
Yes,
Your Honor, can I approach the witness?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what I've just marked as State's Exhibit 1. Do you recognize this disc?
yes.
What is this?
This is the recording from my body cam from that day.
And have you watched this?
Yes, I have.
How do you know you watched it?
I have my name and the date on it.
And is this a fair and accurate copy of the recording from that date?
Yes.
Your Honor, I offer State's Exhibit 1.
Defense has no objection to state's exhibit number 1, Your Honor.
All right, state's exhibit number 1 is admitted without objection.
Your Honor, do I have permission to publish this?
Granted.
Judge, we may want to approach quickly on this one.
Yes.
And for purposes of the record, I'm going to move us ahead a little bit. So this is your body cam, right?
Yes.
And so for purposes of the record, we're at 14:35:40. And can you tell the jury what's going on at this point?
Right now, I am driving up to where the call came into. And you see me right now, I'm getting out of the patrol car, by then everybody had flagged me down. And I'm walking up and I see two people on the ground that had been shot. The guy in the gray shorts, he was shot on his side. And then this man who's doing chest compressions on the other kid, he had been shot somewhere on his head.
And what are you doing now? What are you getting?
I'm grabbing gloves and I'm gonna grab some medical stuff. So particularly something called a chest seal. So whenever we see somebody with a bullet wound on their torso, we're required by law and in our training to go and do some type of medical work if at all able. And so that's what I'm going to do.
And what is
right
this gentleman just told you that's running off?
That guy, his father lives in that house right there. And he said his dad had been shot. And we had found that as a part of this incident, a stray bullet went into the house and struck his father.
And so can you tell the jury what's a chest seal? You mentioned a chest
A
seal.
chest seal is like a type of Band-Aid. It's they're usually clear and they go over a wound and they seal all around and they keep air from going into a chest cavity because your chest cavity is kind of like a vacuum seal, and if there's a hole in it, it brings air and it's very painful and could cause a lung to collapse or something like that. So it helps alleviate pain from and some other potential medical issues from a bullet wound or something penetrating your torso or chest.
And is that what you're trying to apply one of those?
Yeah, I'm putting it on them right there.
Okay. And what are you doing at this point?
Now I'm about to go into the house and see what's going on with that young man's dad right there. And we find him on the floor. He's unresponsive.
Okay, so what are you doing now?
By then I'm telling I'm on the radio telling the dispatcher what I have, that we need EMS, that about a third victim that's in the house, trying to get other officers going our way so we can start figuring something out. It's pretty hectic and chaotic trying to figure out. And that other officer right there just handed me a medical bag, and we're gonna start trying to see what we can do to help this man on the floor out. And that's more chest seals that I'm pulling out. And he's cutting his shirt off so we can find exactly where the bullet hole is, which is on his upper left chest area. And that's reaching the back, see if I can find a exit wound, but he's a big guy, so I couldn't just roll him around or anything.
And so at this point, you're still trying to provide medical aid?
Yeah, we're trying to figure something out, and now I'm checking for a pulse to see what's going on. He had a slight pulse. He was still alive at that time, so now we're putting on the chest seal and doing something to help him.
I'm just gonna skip ahead a little bit here. So for purposes of the record, we're at 14:41:10. What are you doing now?
I woke out and I see this man that's on the camera right now. He is a medical doctor. The EMS has a handful of medical emergency medicine doctors that they when they can, they make high profile or major calls like this. And I told him there's a man inside been shot in the chest and asked for him to come help. So he comes in, sees what's going on, and starts doing chest compressions on him himself.
So at this point, it's all medical attention is.
Correct.
your duties.
That's the, when we go on these calls, the first thing is sanctity of life. See who needs help right then and there. And other things are basically secondary to that, so.
So can you tell the jury what you're doing at this point?
Well, I smelled something burning and I went in. The guy was apparently making lunch at the time of this, and basically I didn't want the house to burn down on top of all this other like craziness that's going on at the time. And then I'm coming in, moving stuff out of the way so that that doctor as well as EMS and all those guys can start have room to do what they need to do to work on this man and try to help him.
And so once the doctor's there, once EMS is there, you let them take over the medical treatment, right?
Yes.
And so then what are your duties shift into at that point?
Now it's time to secure the scene and start getting people backed up. A crowd was starting to build up, and I guess word to the neighborhood was spreading that something happened. And yeah, just scene security, making sure nobody comes in, tampers with anything.
And so walk the jury through scene security a little bit. What are you doing? You're making sure nobody walks through. What else? Are you
Yeah,
doing?
sending people to the side. We're gonna start putting like crime scene tape up, so everybody stays over here while we do what we need to do and start talking to people, and so no outside people are involved. They can stay, they can, and just don't interrupt while we're trying to do our job, kind of thing. And as well as don't walk through if there's blood, you don't want them to walk in blood, or if there's a bullet shell, you don't want them to kick it out of the way or grab it or anything like that. You just let everything be left alone while we start sorting out who was involved, if there are witnesses or suspects, victims, all that stuff.
And I believe you described the scene as chaotic earlier. How do you, in what way do you mean?
It's not every day you go to a call where there's 3 people shot and they're in different places, and trying to sort out who's who did what, and the whole thing. It's just, and then you got people literally dying right there. So you're just trying to figure out, what do I do first? You know, where do I go? Here, and you don't. And when it's just you and you've got three people that are been shot, it's hard to like wrap your mind around. Okay, I know I need to do something, but what? Because everything is important to do right then and there, but you just got to pick something and go.
And once your role shifted into that scene security and securing the scene, did you talk to any witnesses? Who's this gentleman?
I talked to this man who he was apparently he was with his family and they drove up. They just happened to turn on the street right as this whole thing happened, and he was basically telling me what he saw.
And for purposes of the record, on your body cam, we're at 14:57:36. So you talked to him a little bit. Who is this gentleman? What's his name?
His name is Richard Atkinson.
And did you wind up? Did you give him a ride somewhere?
Yes, I took him to our police headquarters where he spoke to the detectives to give a statement to what he had witnessed.
And what were your other duties on this case?
After taking him to headquarters, he had family there pick him up, and I returned back to the scene to see if they needed any help or tying up loose ends as far as whatever was left to do, or scene security and that sort of thing.
And as far as scene security, were there a lot of people out there?
Yeah, there was a lot of at least one of the kids on the street, or maybe both of them and their family, as well as the man in the house. His family started showing up. So there was a convenience store and a big parking lot across the street, and we had them all waiting over there.
And then did you do anything else on this case?
No, I stood by. Then at the end, I went and stood by while the detective talked to one of the victims, the teenage boy, his family, to explain what was happening and what, basically just give him his his contact information, what to do to follow up, and if they had questions, that sort of thing.
Thank you. I pass the witness, Your Honor.
Defense.
Officer Richmond, my name is Michael DeLeon. I represent Oscar Martinez. Don't have many questions for you. As you stated, it was a very chaotic scene out there, correct?
Yes,
And 2:57, almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon, sound about right? Approximately?
yes, yes.
Okay. You recall, in February 21st of 2022, was it cold that day or hot?
It was comfortable. I was wearing a short sleeve shirt, so it must have not been too bad that day. So I don't remember being cold. So
Not completely unusual sometimes in February in San Antonio for it to be incredibly 90 degrees versus cold.
yes, correct.
When we talk about a chaotic scene, eventually there were 20, 25 police officers out there. Sound about right?
Yes,
We're talking not only patrol, but evidence technicians with SAPD, detectives, supervisors, everybody was out there, correct?
correct.
Okay. And then you said a crowd was forming. There must have been 30 some odd just onlookers of in the neighborhood, correct?
Easily that many.
Yeah.
Probably several more.
Okay. And did you, we haven't seen it yet, but eventually yellow crime scene tape is put up, correct?
Yes,
Okay, kind of keep the crowds back.
yes,
Additionally, you got EMS out there, you got firefighters, sound correct?
EMS, firefighters, yes.
Police chief came out here.
Police chief, some other people from command staff and the homicide unit had come out.
Okay. The elderly gentleman in the home, Mr. Bocanegra, his family started showing up as well, correct?
Yes,
And I don't know, approximately how many family members do you know that showed up? Roughly.
15 to 20, I'm not sure.
A good amount of the family.
Yes.
Mr. Bocanegra showed up.
Yes,
Fair to say they were upset.
yes,
Even TV crews might have showed up, if you know.
yeah, and media was there, yes.
Okay. All right, so that whole area was full of emergency vehicles. We got a crowd. We've got a very chaotic scene, like you said, with 3 different individuals who had been shot. At any time, did you talk to Oscar Martinez?
I don't remember if I did. If I did, it was very brief.
And do you have any memory of talking to Oscar Martinez?
No, when I got there, some people said these guys were involved, but I really was more focused on the people that actually were injured that I saw that were injured during the whole thing.
Of course. Thank you for everything you did that day. I'll pass the witness.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
Excused from the state, Your Honor.
Excuse, Your Honor.
All right, you may step down.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. State, call your next witness.
State calls Officer Cynthia Lopez.
You said Cynthia Lopez?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so members of the jury and the court reporter can hear. If you'll state your name for the record.
Yes, Officers Lopez Villa.
All right, state.
Officer Lopez Villa, how long have you worked for SAP?
3 years.
And back on February of 2022, how long have you been with SAP?
Approximately 6 months.
And when did you go to the academy to join SAP?
It would be, I think back, I graduated October 2021.
So you had only been an SAPD officer for a short amount of time before this whole thing.
Yes, sir.
And were you working on February 21st of 2022?
Yes, sir.
Were you wearing a uniform?
Yes,
Is it similar to the one you have on now?
yes, it still fits.
And were you driving a marked SAPD car? Yes. Were you by yourself or were you with another officer?
By myself
How long had you been by yourself?
for 3 weeks.
And on February 21st of 2022, did you respond, well, what type of call did you respond out to?
Shooting in progress
Now, do you remember where you responded out to?
on West Mariposa.
And when you arrived, well, first, were you equipped with the body worn camera on that day?
Yes, sir.
Have you had a chance to watch that body cam video?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm showing you what's been marked as state exhibit number 2. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
What is it?
My body camera video.
And have you marked this disc in any way?
Yes.
How'd you mark it?
A Sharpie to initial.
And have you had a chance to view what's on it?
Yes.
And is this body worn camera video on this disc, is this a true and accurate copy of the body worn camera taken that day?
Yes.
And aside from any redactions, has anything else been altered about it?
No.
Your Honor, let's say what officer is number 2 in evidence. Approach.
Can we approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Published, Judge?
Granted.
I'm skipping ahead for the record at 14:38:33. Officer Lopez, what are we seeing here?
Myself arriving to the scene.
And when you arrived at the scene, how would you describe the scene?
Very chaotic. It was just, everyone was all over the place.
And I'm pausing at 14:38:44. What do we see to the right of the screen?
It would be to one of the victims.
And were there, you would agree, there's a lot of people that are surrounding people that are on the ground.
Yes, sir.
And do you begin to talk to people at the scene?
Yes.
And are they describing what happened?
Yes.
And what are you trying to do when you, as an officer, whenever you see a witness to a possible crime, what are you trained to do?
We separate the witnesses.
Why do you separate them?
So none of their statements collide with each other.
Okay, and so where do you place one of the witnesses?
In the back of my patrol vehicle.
And are you trying to get information from this witness pretty quickly? Describe, are you being pressured?
So right now, like, he was talking to me. By the time I'm trying to calm him down, because what he saw was pretty gruesome. So I just talked to him and say, hey, what's going on? And he's just all over the place.
And without going into whatever he said, did you use that information and relay it to other officers?
Yes.
Now, were there any individuals that were pointed out as being possibly involved in this case?
Yes.
And what were you trying to do with these individuals?
Try to get information and detain them.
And why were you trying to detain them?
Just as our protocol, we're just taught to detain until they're no longer needed on the scene.
Now, who are you talking to right here?
It would be Oscar Martinez.
And do you see Oscar during the courtroom?
Yes,
Can you point him out by an article of clothing that he's wearing?
right now he's wearing the coat and the white t-shirt.
Let the record reflect that the witnesses identified the defendant.
Okay, let's go with James third. Okay. Oscar Martinez third? Okay. Oscar Martinez. Third, what's your name first, Oscar? July 17th. Okay, number for you? Within 195? You do have this for me? 2210? Well, this one, go ahead. What did you say? What was it? 2310? It's on your show. Okay. Say anyone?
Now, you already said that there was a decision made to detain the individual, some of the individuals that were at that scene, correct?
Yes,
How many other witnesses do you remember speaking to?
I spoke to 3 on scene.
And do you remember what are the names of the individuals that you spoke to?
I don't recall names.
Did you write a report in relation to this case?
Yes, sir.
Would reading your report, would that help refresh your memory as to the names of the individuals that you spoke to?
Yes.
Ask you, without reading directly from the report, just take a moment to refresh your memory, and when you're ready to answer the question.
All right, and counsel, if you could, just so the record can be clear, if you can mark that and you can mark it with the letter of the alphabet.
State will mark this as states. States. No, take a moment and refresh your recollection as to the names of the individuals that you spoke to.
Yes, it was Richard Atkinson, Alicia Atkinson, and Allison Atkinson.
And were they taken to go speak to a detective? Were you aware of that?
On scene, the detective spoke with them.
And were any of the individuals that were detained, were they taken to go speak with detectives? Are you aware of that?
Yes,
And did you transport anyone to SAPD for a possible statement?
yes.
Who did you transport?
I had transported Jeremy Martinez to youth services at headquarters.
And did a detective ever show up on scene?
Yes,
Did you ever detail to the detective the information that you got that day?
yes, sir.
And why did you do that?
It's just protocol. We have to let them know what we have on the call and the scene and what they can determine from there.
Pass the witness, Judge.
Defense?
Officer Lopez, my name is Michael DeLeon. I represent Oscar Martinez. You have your report up there, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, first witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Officer, can we? There's a lot of pages going on. I'm looking at page 1 of 7. Does your report say page 1 of 7?
No, just 3.
I can look at your report real quick.
Yeah.
It's a little different. Let me show you. I have some highlights on here, but let me show you. Is this your report?
Yes.
Is this a supplemental or something different?
No, it's the offense report.
The offense report. What would this be called?
The offense report.
Okay, but yet it's different, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I want to ask you some questions about, let me show you.
And I'm sorry, counsel?
Yeah.
If you're showing her a different report, if you could mark it just so that it can be in the record and you can use the letter with the alphabet.
You could. Yes, Judge.
Thank you.
Well, so I'm going to show you what's been marked as. Of course, I hit the wrong sticker. All right, Officer Lopez, I'm gonna show you what's been marked as defense exhibit number 1. Ask you to read silently to yourself the third paragraph there. And then I'll ask you a question. Okay, do you recall that from personal memory, remembering back 2.5 years?
No,
Okay, it says, I was informed that you had found a firearm inside of the green Suburban, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. Do you have personal memory if you saw that there was a firearm or somebody told you that?
it was offered on scene. They relayed the information.
Okay, so you're kind of relaying the information you're getting from other officers, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let me also point out to you. This is a question I had. I don't know if you need to read this sentence, but this sentence is what I'm talking about. You can read that silently to yourself. You refer to a blue recycling bag. Can you tell the jury what a blue recycling bag is?
It's just like a recycle bag, but it was supposed to be a bin.
Okay, so when we talk about a bin, we're talking about those big city of San Antonio blue recycling bins, right?
Yes.
Okay, but yet it refers to a bag, so we're not talking about any bag though, we're talking about a bin.
Yeah, the big bin. Yeah.
Okay. And there were weapons found in that bin,
Yes, sir.
making sure. If I give just a moment, Your Honor. Lastly, Officer Lopez. Looking at, you can read this paragraph to yourself, the first 3 sentences there, or lines. Is that information you obtained yourself firsthand, or you're documenting what other people told you?
It was information related to me.
Okay, just want to make sure. Now, Officer Lopez, when you talked to Officer Martinez, we saw a little bit on the body cam. You asked some questions, what his name, address, date of birth, phone number was. He fully cooperated with you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did he stop being cooperative with you at any point that we haven't seen on the body cam?
No.
Okay. Did you get any information that either Oscar or any of the young people here were trying to escape, run away, flee at any time?
No.
Okay. Did you have any concerns that someone was going to run on you and take off?
No.
Okay. Everybody seemed to be pretty stable and staying put.
Yes, sir.
Was this your first, I'm gonna call it a very chaotic scene type of call as a police officer?
Yes.
Okay. Officer Richmond testified before. Do you know Officer Richmond or work with him?
Yes.
Okay. He testified to the jury earlier. This was a chaotic scene. There's 25 SAPD people out there, evidence techs, the police chief. You've got a crowd of people forming, just regular people in the neighborhood. We've got an old elderly man was killed. His family showed up. They're upset. You know, you've got tons of people just showing up to the scene, correct?
Yes.
And as part of your job, you're relaying information quickly to other officers and getting information to kind of piece together what is going on here, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And may I approach the witness one more time, Your Honor?
Yes.
Officer, if I can see your report.
In state and defense, you have the freedom and the court's permission to move about and approach witnesses without requesting.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Officer Lopez, you were given information from multiple officers about all kinds of information, not only Oscar Martinez, but other juveniles at the scene, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you and other officers separate parties? We saw the Atkinsons witnesses. They're separated so that, we kind of preserve their memories, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How about for the eventual suspects out there? Were they put into separate police cars and detained?
Yes.
Did you do any evidence collection at the time?
No.
Okay, that's somebody else's job, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have for you, Officer Lopez. Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Nothing from C.
All right, is this witness excused?
She is, Your Honor.
All right, you may be excused. Thank you. And parties, if you'll make sure, even though the exhibits were marked and not entered, if you'll just make sure to leave those with the court reporter.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, state, call your next witness.
State calls, Roland Bettis.
All right, if you can raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. Please make sure you keep your voice up so that members of the jury can hear and the court reporter can hear. And if you'll have a seat and state your name for the record.
Rolando Perez.
All right, state.
Mr. Bettis, who do you currently work for?
The San Antonio Police Department.
What do you do for SAPD?
I'm a crime scene investigator.
So really, your title should be CSI Bettis.
Yes.
Now explain to the jury, what is a CSI?
We are investigators that go out to the crime scene and we basically look for any kind of evidence or whatnot for the scene.
And now, are you a certified peace officer?
No,
So you're not a police officer.
correct.
And what type of training did you receive to become a CSI?
Through the San Antonio Police Department, we have a 3-month training period in the classroom and then a 1-month training in the field.
And what type of training do you receive?
We learned a lot from like photography, evidence searching, video recording, crime scene sketching. And then further on, we learned like 3D diagramming or scanning, I should say. I'm sorry.
So were you working on February 21st of 2022?
Yes.
And did you have to respond to a shooting on that day?
Yes.
Were you the only CSI that responded to that scene?
No.
So what happens when multiple CSI respond to one scene?
We split up the duties for the scene, for the crime scene.
So what do you mean by that?
So one would be in charge of either doing the photography, others would do a video, some would do the evidence collection.
In connection with this case, what did you do?
I did do the video of the scene, or video recording, and I also did perform 3 gunshot residue tests.
Let's start with the videos. What type of video are you taking?
Just the basic crime scene, whatever's in the crime scene, whatever the evidence had been located at the time.
And do you do it all in one go? How exactly do you take this video?
Well, normally it's all in one go, but it depends. I think with the camera we have now, if you do a pause, it splits them up. But yeah, it's usually just all in one time area, I guess.
And I'm approaching with what's been marked as safe exhibit number 3. Do you recognize this disc?
Yes,
And what is this disc?
that's a disc that was burned with the videos.
And have you had a chance to watch it?
Yes.
And have you marked this disc at all?
Yes, I have my signature, my badge number.
And is it a true and accurate depiction of the crime scene video that you took that day?
Yes.
Has it been altered in any way?
No.
Our state would offer states exhibit number 3.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, State's Exhibit number 3 is admitted without objection.
So you took states 3, but you also collected something called GSR.
Yes.
What is that?
It just stands for gunshot residue test.
And what does that entail?
So it's these little plastic bottles with the lid, which has like a sticky surface. And what we do is we just look for what they're saying is gunshot residue on hands or some of the arm.
And what exactly is that looking for?
Well, like I said, like the gunshot residue.
Are you the person that tests these kits?
No, I just collect it.
And what do you do after you collect them?
So once I collect it, I mark it. It goes back into the packaging, which gets sealed, and then we submit it to the property room.
You brought something with you today. What did you bring?
These are the gunshot residue tests that were performed that day.
Now, are these just your gunshot residue tests? What, or are they more gunshot residue tests?
So 3 of them are the ones I did. One of them is done by another CSI, and one was done from one of our detectives.
And why, well, where did you get those from?
The property room. Our property room.
Are you able to take property in or evidence in and out of the property room?
Yes.
And is it more simple just to combine all the gunshot residue tests, or why are they all combined? You know?
So from what I see, they were all placed back together because they have been tested. They were sent to the lab and returned.
So let's mark that overall bag with all of the different bags as states exhibit number 4.
Let me take this one out.
Have you had a chance to open up the bag?
Yes.
Okay, and can you take out the bags containing the gunshot residue tests that you collected?
Yes. These are it.
Okay. We'll mark these 3 tag states 5, 6, and 7. For states 5 is the contents of 1 bag, is the envelope and the contents. And the same for states 6 and 7 for the 2 other bags. Let's start with states exhibit number 5. Who did you take that from?
This one's going to be on a Juan Mejia.
Okay, and again, what are in the contents of states 5?
This is the test kit that was performed on him.
And is there anything written on the test kit?
Yes.
What information is written there?
So the information I write on it is going to be the name of the person on the subject I'm collecting from, their date of birth, my name, my badge, the department's name, and the case number.
You can put that back inside.
And I'm sorry, excuse me, what name did you say was on that?
Juan Mejia.
All right, thank you.
And then for state 6, who did you collect that from?
This one's going to be a Jeremy Martinez.
Okay. And again, is it the same thing that the kit inside would have Jeremy's information on it?
Yes.
Okay. And you can put that back. State 7. Oh, who did you collect state 7 from?
This one's from an Oscar Martinez III.
And again, same deal. Did you write his information on that bag inside?
Yes.
Okay. And you were the one that took all 3 of these tests.
Yes.
This time, state would offer states 5, 6, and 7 in the contents of the evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, States Exhibit 5, 6, 7, and contents are admitted into evidence without objection.
Were there any other? Let me rephrase. When you're out there, are you helping the other CSIs possibly complete their duties?
Besides doing this, unless they requested it, but I can't, I mean, I don't remember if I did or did not.
Pass the witness.
Defense?
Thank you, Your Honor. Is it Detective Pettis? What's your title?
No, CSI Pettis, yeah.
CSI Pettis.
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. Do you recall doing any of these tests, or it's been 2.5 years? Do you have any independent memory of it, or just from what you read in the report?
I mean, it brings back some memory. I mean, obviously, it's not 100% clear.
Sure. Sounds good. And when the GSR gunshot residue tests are done, do you typically get cooperation from the person you're taking the test?
Most times, yes.
Let's get more specific. There at that scene,
Mhm.
there were 3 individuals, Juan Mejia, Jeremy Martinez, and Oscar Martinez.
Yes.
Specifically with Oscar Martinez, do you recall Oscar Martinez, my client?
Not specifically, but I don't have a memory if he, like you said, had any issues, so.
If somebody had said, hey, get away from me, don't touch me, you know, I'm not gonna let you do no test, would you document that?
Yes.
Okay. In this particular case with Oscar Martinez, was that the case? Do you have any documentation that he refused at all?
No.
Okay, fair enough. And what if somebody had said, get away from me, don't touch me, you're not doing a test? Would you force it on that person, or how would that work?
In the past, from what I can remember, I mean, knowing that it's really not intrusive, we're still allowed to do it. Might take some persuading.
Sure.
Maybe, but I don't remember a time where someone has officially said they did not want to do it altogether.
Sure. That's a hypothetical.
Right.
Specifically with Oscar Martinez, you have nothing to say he wasn't anything but cooperative, correct?
Right.
Okay. And you said that you don't do testing of these kits at all. Where do the test kits go after this?
So once we collect it, we submit it to the SAPD property room.
Okay. And then, do you know where they go after that?
No, unless the follow-up detective requests them. That's what they do.
Okay. And so somebody else would take your work at that point and
Right.
go to the next step.
Yes.
Very well. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Pass the witness.
Another from the state judge.
All right, is this witness excused?
He is, Your Honor.
Excuse judge.
All right, and do you have the next witness to transfer the items to the next witness?
Yes. Judge.
Okay. All right, state, call your next witness.
The state calls CSI Ryan Rodriguez.
All right, could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice raised for members of the jury and the court reporter. If you'll state your name for the record.
Ryan Rodriguez, RyanRodriguez.
State.
CSI Rodriguez, who do you currently work for?
I'm employed with the city of San Antonio as a member of the San Antonio Police Department, and I function as a crime scene investigator.
How long have you been in CSI?
Just hit 6 years last month.
And in this case, were you working on February 21st of 2022?
Yes, sir.
Now, did you respond out to the scene of the shooting, or where did you go?
I was dispatched to the hospital where there was a gunshot victim.
And
University Hospital.
thank you, that was gonna be my very next question. What was the name of the individual you were sent to go see?
I believe it was Josh Miha.
And when you went to the hospital, what were you called to do?
Well, there was a gunshot victim there, so I would go and photograph him, take whatever, maybe clothing or items he might have as evidence and conduct a gunshot residue test on the individual.
And so that's what you did. You took photos and you took the gunshot residue test.
Yes.
And I'll show you what was previously marked as State exhibit number 4. Need an opportunity showing you what's being marked. I'll mark as State's exhibit number 8. Now, do you recognize that?
Yes, it's the gunshot residue test.
Okay, and is this the gunshot residue test that you collected from Joshua?
Yes.
And I'm gonna ask if you could open what's being marked as State's exhibit number 8. Now, what was inside State's 8?
Oh, it's the gunshot residue test.
Okay, and on the outside of that gunshot residue test, who does it say you took that gunshot residue from?
Josh Maya.
And would you have marked, why do you mark the outside of the actual kit itself?
Just to identify it, who it belongs to, my name, case number.
Okay, and so that information is true and accurate to the best of your recollection?
Yes.
You can put that back inside. State would offer State's exhibit number 8 and all of its contents.
No objection, Your Honor.
Right, State's exhibit number 8 and its contents is admitted without objection.
Pass the witness, Judge.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor, briefly. GSI Rodriguez, were there additional things that you collected with Joshua Mejia there at the hospital?
Yeah, I believe it's clothing and like maybe like some cigarillos.
All righty, and do you have your report in front of you?
No.
Your personal witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Sir.
Rodriguez, is this your report?
Yes.
Okay, and you took a GSR test, which is listed as E4, correct?
Correct.
And
Okay.
counsel, if you can mark that.
Yes, Judge. Rodriguez, I'm showing you what's been now marked as defense exhibit number 2. Once again, the GSR test for Joshua Mejia was done as evidence 4, correct?
Correct.
And then evidence 3 is, what was that?
Evidence 3 is gonna be, looks like clothing.
Okay, clothing of Joshua Mejia.
Yes.
E2 was what?
Gold colored jewelry.
Okay, and E1 is what?
4 backwoods cigars, wild rum flavor.
Okay, backwood cigars. You have training experience to know what backwood cigars, well, first of all, it's a cigar, correct?
Correct.
Okay. In your training experience, can those cigars be used in different ways?
Sure. You have to elaborate a little bit more besides smoking or what?
Besides smoking, you can cut those open and put marijuana in them typically, correct?
Yes, that's possible.
Okay. Have you seen that on few or many occasions?
Many occasions.
Okay. Do you know of anybody who just smokes backwood cigars just for the wild rum flavor and nothing else?
I'm sure there are, but I've never even heard of the brand.
Yeah. Okay. And as far as the GSR test, that's something you do the test and you put it into evidence and then somebody takes it from there, correct?
Correct.
All right. Thank you, sir. I'll pass the witness.
Nothing from the state, Judge.
All right, is this witness excused?
He is, Your Honor.
All right, you may step back down, but make sure you transfer the items. Thank you.
We approach, Your Honor.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna take our break for the day at this point, our lunch. So these are my instructions. I'm gonna say these instructions every time we take a break, so you will probably start knowing them by heart.
You are not allowed to start talking about evidence that you've heard in this case. You're not to start internalizing, thinking about what you would do. You are not allowed to discuss what you've heard with each other or internally. Does everyone understand? Everything that you're to learn about this case is to come from inside the courtroom and nowhere else. Does everyone understand? Make sure you always have your badges visibly displayed because as I told you, sometimes attorneys will be talking about cases. It may not be about this case, it may be about something else. But if attorneys see your badge, they'll know that you're a juror and they won't speak around you about maybe cases they have in other courts. Does everyone understand? You are not allowed to watch or view anything about this case. You are not allowed to do any research. You're not allowed to start deliberating until I give you instructions to begin your deliberation. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
All right, we can go off the record. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to take our lunch break. We're going to come back at 1:30. There are plenty of places for you to eat here. If you go a little bit off the beaten path, it won't be as expensive, but they do have sandwich shops and you can walk along the river or walk along. I think there are a lot of places along Houston Street and other streets. So you can walk along and find something. When we come back at 1:30, you will not report inside the courtroom. You're going to report to the jury room. And then when we're ready for you to come in, Deputy Laura will bring you in. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
Any questions? And then later today, after I hear more things, I'll be able to give you some sort of idea of when I think perhaps the trial will end. Okay? All right. Thank you all.
All right.